When I'm out digging, I use my phone to check Discogs at the same time, and if I see it's not on Discogs, then it's like, oh, this must be a rare find, and I get a little bit excited about it. So it's a good feeling when I'm the first person to put releases on Discogs. But just in general, like, again, making the pages on Discogs up to my standard. I want to have full pictures, full information, because it's a resource that I've used, and I kind of want to give back to the global music community in that way. My name is Skylar Hardenbrook. I'm 23 years old, born and raised in Los Angeles, California, and I go by the username SJH on Discogs. I first discovered Discogs around the time that I started collecting music for the first time. I was around age 15, and for me, I've always been kind of a nerd at heart. I'm very systematic and organized, so for me, Discogs was kind of a natural thing to go along with collecting records and just being able to, input the information, make the sites, the pages of the releases I was listening to up to my standards of quality. So, and it also was a learning tool for me. So what I would do is just input everything on Discogs, and as a digger, you have to be able to memorize the people that contributed to releases, the labels, the artists. So it was just a learning process. That's Discogs meant to me. All right, we're here at our spot in LA. This is my man Sebastian from Touch Vinyl on the west side of LA. We're about to dig the DJ Hideo collection. This is what it's all about. The thing that appeals to me about digging is you never know what's going to happen. You never know what you're going to find. There's a complete luck element to it, so that's what keeps me motivated to go out. I try to go every weekend, at least once a week, just to see what's out there, because if I don't go this day, it might not be there tomorrow, so that's my motivation to keep going out. When I started collecting music, seriously, I only started with CDs. That was for maybe the first couple years. I was using Discogs at the time, but I didn't have a turntable then. And I was buying rec CDs at full price, like all the Christmas money I got, all my birthday money would just go to CDs. And then I discovered one main album, I think, is DJ Shadow's Introducing, which kind of opened my eyes to sample culture and hip-hop culture. And from that, it made me realize how much music is actually out there, and plus how much cheaper I could get stuff for, assuming you're doing dollar bin digging and whatnot. But from that, it just opened up a new world, and it's a lifelong pastime you can pursue, because you can never have everything that's out there. There's always something new to discover. And with me just being obsessed about music in general, just having this whole new world that's of a century's worth of music that is at my disposal just by simply having a turntable, is just something that led me to cut off my CD consumption, and it's just been records ever since. And as you can see, like, everything I buy is on vinyl now. Actually, cassettes and CDs every now and then, but records is just where it's at. It's always going to be where it's at. I actually have a sense of pride in that. Like, I like, being the one to break these rare records, and I use a YouTube channel as well. I run a YouTube channel where I kind of discuss the things I found as well as upload rare music, because I found that that's the best way to connect with people around the world, because when I was in college, no one else was really interested. So I use YouTube as a way to do that, and so sort of what I like doing is being able to break records on the internet, like being the first person to put it on Discogs, to have it on YouTube, to let the world hear it for the first time. I mean, besides whoever made it, but like things that are just undocumented. So whenever when I'm out digging, I use my phone to check Discogs at the same time, and if I see it's not on Discogs, then it's like, oh, this must be a rare find, and I get a little bit excited about it. So it's a good feeling when I'm the first person to put releases on Discogs. But just in general, like, again, making the pages on Discogs up to my standard. I want to have full pictures, full information, because it's a resource that I've used, and I kind of want to give back to the global music community in that way by contributing to the site. I mean, I could kind of attribute it to my dad, because I grew up in a very musical household. My parents are both artists. My dad was in graphic design, my mom was a painter. My dad is also a vintage guitar player and collector, so he had a music studio he would record in his spare time. So I'm not exactly sure if that's the main reason, but he fostered my love for music. And when I was little, my creative outlet was to go out to his studio with a pair of drumsticks, and I would create these fake bands and their discographies. And so I would improvise songs and record myself on cassettes to these fake bands I made up, and I would go and create the liner notes and the artwork for that. That was my creative outlet as a young age. So I've just kind of had an obsession with artists and discographies and just music in general since I was very little, and it was just a natural thing to get on Discogs and get on buying records. It's just probably could have predicted it from when I was a little kid. I think a lot of my love for music is rooted in hip hop. So the 12-inch for hip hop music, I listen to a lot of independent stuff from the 90s. A lot of these artists, they only put out one 12-inch, and that's just basically where the good music is for that genre. So when I buy hip hop, the 12-inch is what I look for mostly, because that's where most of the rare stuff is, because independently made in small quantities and stuff like that. So the 12-inch is one of my loves,
Word.
So yeah, but 45s, if I had the money, I would love to start collecting more 45s. I know there's so much good soul music and funk music that was similar to 12 inches, only put out in single format, but that stuff is really, really hard to come by, especially at the stores that they know how to price stuff. So I would love to get into 45s more, but I'm sure I will in the future, maybe when I have more money. But for now, the 12-inch hip-hop is mostly where I spend my money.
You graduated USC, right?
Yeah.
What'd you major in?
I majored in business and music industry.
When you were at USC, you were collecting records, right?
Yeah, it was always around. My collection has grown a lot, mostly in the last maybe 2 years. But I had records when I was at USC. I had a mural on my wall. I lived in a fraternity house at USC, and I put up all the record covers on my wall just as a way to make it more interesting. And even then, though, people would just see it once and be, oh, that's cool, but no one really had any interest in listening to records. So, but yeah, it was always around at USC when I was at USC, but it was mostly during my senior year and then this last year since I graduated that I really, ramped up the amounts that I've been buying. I probably buy 300 to 400 new records a month, and
Wow.
I'm very systematic in listening. I have to listen in the order that I got them, so I'm behind by probably 1,000 by now. I'll get through it eventually, but I just keep adding more onto the end, so I don't know if I'll ever catch up, but hopefully someday. I mean, there's lots of interesting stories. I went out randomly when I was in college to a yard sale in the middle of the week. I didn't have classes that day, so it was on Craigslist randomly in the middle of the week. I went out, drove a little bit, and when I got there, a guy had bought everything for a flea market, and then he was already loading the van. This is at the time that it was supposed to start. And then I got there, and I was a little irritated at that, but then I got to talking to the guy who was selling them, and then we got to talking about music and whatever, and he asked me if I knew the artist Money Mark, who is the keyboard player for the Beastie Boys, and it turns out that this guy is Money Mark's brother. So it was just this completely random story. In the middle of the week, I went to this yard sale and happened to meet Money Mark's brother. He gave me a few copies of Money Mark's stuff, and I guess it was their dad's record collection that they were selling off. So while this other guy was loading his van kind of slowly because he's an older guy, Money Mark's brother allowed me to dig through stuff and hide stuff so I could buy from him later. So that was pretty cool. It was just one of those completely random things that had just happened just because I happened to go out digging one day. I have a little over 7,000, probably 7,200. And I know this is not an estimate actually, because I have everything very meticulously organized on Discogs. So when I get rid of something, I remove it from my collection. When I buy it, I either add it to my collection or put it in my drafts to add later. So around 7,200 probably is my estimate for my total collection. My spot is Amoeba. I guess that's no secret to LA residents. I focus on the hip hop section at Amoeba because I've realized that's the section where things can be mispriced. Other parts of the store, they know how to price everything. They know what to put up on the wall. But the clearance bin at Amoeba and just the 12-inch stuff from 50 cents to $4, I've pulled out gem after gem. I don't know how they end up in there, but since I guess that's sort of my expertise is hip hop, so that's the area I go to. Garage sales always, Pasadena swap meet, flea markets whenever I can. Generally, being in the working world now, it's more hard for me to go out and buy as much as I would like to, but those are my spots. And eBay, of course, for the rare stuff, you kind of have to go on eBay, and Discogs, of course, marketplace.